Chapter 1. The Hidden Cost of Clarity. At first glance, everything looks right. The water is clear. The koi are swimming. The system is running. Pipes buzz, boxes hum, bubbles hiss. It's a standard setup: a pump, a filter, a UV sterilizer. A formula followed by thousands. But if everything is working, why you still feel like you're always one step away from a crisis? Let's look closer. The pond's edge is cluttered. Wires snake around the filter box. A wet glove drips on the paving stone. You're on your knees again, scraping sludge from filter foam, unclogging intake pipes, priming the pump after a power blink. This is your relaxing hobby now, a schedule of interventions, not serenity. It's not that the system doesn't work. It does, in a linear, mechanical way. Water goes in, gets pushed through compartments, comes out clear. But at what cost? Pumps running 24/7 at 150 watts or more. UV bulbs replaced annually. Filter mats cleaned weekly. Your electricity bill has its own rhythm, determined not by season, but by the flow rate of your pond. And then there's the koi. They're not panicked, but they're not relaxed either. They swim below the churning output, away from vibration. They hover in the same calm corners, avoiding the turbulence. Subtle signs that something isn't as balanced as it seems. You build a pond to mirror nature, but you installed a system that overpowers it. You didn't mean to. You followed instructions. You bought the recommended hardware, but you ended up with a machine disguised as a garden. And what if, just what if, the water doesn't need force to flow? What if you could move it gently, using rising air instead of electric torque? What if that was enough? What if it was better? Chapter 2. The hidden engine that doesn't want attention. You've walked past it a dozen times, but you never heard it. No hum, no vibration, no blinking lights. Just a trail of bubbles rising near the back of the pond, unnoticed. And yet, that tiny column of air is doing something extraordinary. It's moving thousands of liters of water per hour, silently, efficiently, and without complaint. It's called an airlift. While most people focus on pumps, wattage, and flow charts, the airlift system hides in plain sight. A small air pump feeds a line to a submerged pipe. At the base, a diffuser releases microbubbles. As they rise, the surrounding water becomes lighter, and it lifts. This vertical lift doesn't require motors or spinning parts. The only moving force is air, and with it, the pond breathes. The water cycles. The filtration chambers receive steady flow. Beneficial bacteria flourish in oxygen-rich current. And koi, they swim in balance, no longer dodging turbulence or hiding from noise. Here's the strange part. It's not new. Airlift systems have been around for decades, used in aquaculture, wastewater treatment, even biology labs. But in backyard ponds, they were mostly ignored. Why? Because they don't break. They don't need upgrades. They don't create urgency. They just work. And in a world obsessed with more power, maybe that's what makes them truly radical. Chapter 3. Proof in the fins. What your koi will show you first. Want to know if your pond system is working? Don't check the filter. Don't check the clarity. Watch the koi. Before you installed an airlift system, your koi swam defensively. They avoided the outflows, reacted to sudden surges, and often hovered in corners. Fins slightly clamped, colors a bit duller than you remembered. You blamed temperature, feed, or stress. But the truth was in the water. Once airlift began moving your pond, the koi changed. The difference wasn't loud. It was subtle, but undeniable. Their posture relaxed. Their movement stretched out. They explored. Instead of darting from strong outflows, they followed gentle currents like stream-borne fish. You saw smoother glides, calmer turns, fewer collisions. The water itself seemed to be cooperating. This isn't just aesthetic. It's biological. Reduced mechanical turbulence means reduced stress hormones. Increased oxygen improves gill efficiency. Stable flow supports more effective biofiltration. Less ammonia, better nitrification. The koi aren't just behaving differently. They're healthier. Stress weakens immunity, disrupts digestion, causes chronic inflammation. You may not see it on the surface, but your koi feel it. When it's gone, they bloom. Their color deepens. Their scales shine. They begin to engage with each other, with their space, and with you. Suddenly, the pond isn't a place they survive in. It becomes their environment, their territory, their stage. And for the first time, you realize the koi were never the problem. The water was. Chapter 4. What it feels like to let the pond breathe without you. I used to dread weekends, you might say, not because of the koi, but because of everything else. The filter pads, the buckets, the wet sleeves, the stubborn sludge that clung no matter how hard you sprayed. It was always something, always maintenance. And the worst part? The fear that missing just one cleaning would undo everything. Now, things are different. You still check on the pond, but more often it's with a cup of tea in hand and a filter brush. You still care about clarity, but you don't fight for it. Since switching to Airlift, the rhythm of your pond has shifted. And maybe more importantly, so has yours. It's not just the system that's simpler. It's the silence. Your pump isn't in the water anymore. There's no more muffled thrum under the liner. No more vibration creeping into the koi's world. The airlift works invisibly, gently moving water, delivering oxygen, circulating flow without ever reminding you that it's there. You feel it first in the time you've recovered, then in the power bill that drops, then in the absence of urgency. And then one day, you notice your koi looking back at you, not from a hiding place, but from the center of the pond, as if to say, "We noticed too." You didn't stop being a pond keeper. You just stopped being a technician. You became what you were meant to be from the start. Someone who sits, watches, and breathes with the water, not against it. Chapter 5. The difference between burning and breathing. There are two ways to run a pond. One burns. One breathes. The first one is what most people know. Electric pumps that hum nonstop. Systems with wattage as high as kitchen appliances. They need maintenance. They vibrate the water. They cost more the longer they run. That's the burning way. It keeps the pond alive, but at a price: your time, your money, your peace. The other way is quieter, simpler, lighter. It's the airlift system. And it doesn't burn, it breathes. A small air pump, no bigger than a lunchbox, moves water using nothing but rising air bubbles. It lifts, not pushes. It whispers, not hums. It consumes just 10 to 30 watts, sometimes less than a ceiling fan on low. It requires no cooling, no motor replacements, no stress. But here's the surprise. It's not weaker. It's wiser. Because instead of wasting energy on turbulence, it sustains flow with intention. Instead of heating water with a submersible pump, it keeps the system calm and cool. Instead of complexity, it offers longevity. You'll see it in the electricity bill. You'll feel it in the silence. You'll know it by what's no longer breaking down. And for once, you'll realize that your pond doesn't have to cost the earth or your sanity. It can breathe like you do, in and out, quiet, continuous, balanced, Chapter 6. The stillness that changed everything. In the beginning, there was movement. Pumps roared. Water splashed. Filters hissed. It all worked, but it never rested. And neither did I. I called it care. I called it diligence. But deep down I knew my pond was always tired. So were my koi. So was I. Then came silence. Not from turning the system off, but from choosing a system that worked in harmony. The airlift system did not announce itself. It whispered, it lifted, and slowly everything began to soften. The koi no longer fought the current. They flowed with it. The water no longer shimmered from chaos. It reflected the sky. And I no longer looked for what was wrong. I began to notice what was right. The way the koi gathered in morning light. The pattern of bubbles rising like breath. The stillness between movements. The clarity between thoughts. I stopped adjusting. Stopped chasing perfection. And started watching. And in that watching, something awakened. This wasn't just a system. It was a lesson. That what moves us most is often what moves the least. That what sustains is not what forces, but what flows. In the stillness, the pond became whole, and in its reflection, so did I.